This is of course about HPC, so how well does ChatGPT do on a code review for Fortran code? So I took something that is not entirely trivial. It's a linked list implementation in Fortran using pointers. And also it's actually a generic code in the sense that the type of the elements of the list is not predetermined. That can be overridden in other modules, so that basically you can have a list of integers, a list of real values or whatever. Okay, so let's have a look at the review that ChatGPT generated. So it's going to look at code style, potential bugs, edge cases, memory management issues, and best practices. That's great. So, code style and readability. It starts with some good practices. So these are things which are okay for this particular code. And there are areas for improvement. So apparently the indentation is inconsistent. Some lines have excessive spaces. And then the use of value type is not clearly defined in this module, which is sort of correct, since it's actually a macro and it will be replaced by a preprocessor. So essentially it can't be better defined in this particular module, but okay. Naming of some functions, intuitive, but indeed comments and documentation would be a nice issue. A nice feature. So basically, indeed, it's just the name of the functions and there is no documentation. Okay, so then potential bugs. Again, most stuff seems to be okay. There is a memory leak risk, it says, in remove, pop and shift. So basically, what I should have done is set the pointers to null, well applicable, because otherwise I may have dangling pointers. Okay, I could do that. And then find return returns -1 for missing items. And what ChatGPT suggests is to return 0 rather than -1, because it better aligns with Fortran's default indexing behavior. Okay, you can discuss about that. So clear it says can be inefficient because I do a shift in order to clear the list. And that, according to ChatGPT, leads to O(n)² complexity. Now the shift is removing the first element only, so it's actually an O1 operation. And what it does here is in fact doing precisely that. It's in fact re-implementing the shift operation. So, well, okay. Edge cases and robustness. So again, a few things went well. A few other things. An edge case for insert at an invalid position. So apparently it's not really checked whether that actually is a valid index or not. So basically, yes, that would be a good idea to add that. Removing the last element. Again, the pointer should be set to null, which apparently doesn't seem to happen. So again, good catch. Then handling of the empty list in show. Okay. Okay, so that merits review. Indeed, could be that there is a bug there. Okay, memory management, we're also already discussed the clear thing. And then pointer assignment, this was also already mentioned. Best practices, so basically generic handling of value type, we discussed that already. Then improved error handling, we discussed that as well. And then of course it says, well, okay, adding unit tests would be a good idea, which I would agree with. So we get a final verdict, basically a summary of all the things that ChatGPT had as comments about our code. And it gets a final score of 8.5 out of 10, which is quite reasonable. It would be interesting to know how ChatGPT came up with that score, so I can ask. So ChatGPT explains how it gets to the 8.5 out of 10 score. Basically, there is a breakdown into several categories. Each of them is weighted and each of them is rated. And then of course that weighted sum is computed to give the final score. So you get a nice breakdown about code style and readability, performance efficiency, and so on and so on, with the reasons why things could actually get better or why they didn't score as well as you might hope. So basically it also gives an indication of why it got an 8.5 rather than a higher score, but also why it's not lower than that. And then it also gives some advice about how to reach a 9.5 plus score